COVID booster shot will be available in the fall. That's amid the growing concerns of a new, highly mutated variant.
And while parents are preparing for back to school, there's also questions about school safety and crowded classrooms. So joining us to discuss all these issues and more is Manhattan Borough President Mark Levine. So good morning, Borough
Good morning,
President.
Hazel and Craig.
Good morning.
So let's start with the uptick in COVID cases. Right now, the New York State officials saying that there's no need to be worried about it. So what is the situation right now in Manhattan?
We did have an increase of cases this summer. We're now seeing about 700 or 800 cases every day in New York. But this is not like 2 years ago. We've now got treatments and we haven't seen an increase in ICU admissions or deaths. So this is something people need to watch and protect themselves against, but I don't think it's cause for panic.
Is the borough preparing for an uptick, though? Is there anything they're doing?
Well, we're still making treatments, Paxlovid, available. If you don't have a doctor, you can call 212-COVID-19 and they'll get you a prescription sent to your home if needed. We've also got places you can pick up free testing. That's still very important. I think there's going to be a big push this fall for people to get their flu shot and an updated COVID booster. This is going to be a new annual routine. You're going to want to get both every fall, and the city is planning a major campaign for this.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, speaking of a major campaign, we know that the first day of school is September 7th, and we are talking about a new COVID booster available. But yeah, I'm thinking at this point, vaccines in schools are not mandatory. They're recommended now. So, I mean, tell me about this new booster, what you know about it, and you know, could that policy change if there's a big uptick in the schools? Could vaccinations become mandatory again?
Well, remember, there's a whole series of vaccines which are required for children, for mumps, rubella, et cetera. And it's important that families continue to protect their kids with those vaccines. As for COVID vaccines, I don't see that being mandatory in schools, but I hope that schools will make it easy for young people and families to get vaccinated. I hope they'll explain to folks that there's a new formulation that is designed for more recent variants. And just like with the flu shot, every year you get a slightly different formula updated for the strain of flu that's circulating. That's the same idea for COVID vaccines. And it may take a bit of explaining, but really this should just be a normal fall routine for everybody, young people and adults.
Yeah, and that's talking about kids that are already here, right? And now we have a whole influx of new students, migrant students that are here. How's the city preparing for that influx of new students? Are we prepared? Do we have enough space?
There's still more work to do. We are providing upon arrival a medical check at the Roosevelt Hotel, which does include vaccination if children or adults are not up to date, and that's very important. But serving the kids in the schools does require more staff, more bilingual staff, and not just teachers, but also social workers, because so many of the young people have been through real trauma on the way to New York. And in some cases, it's overcrowding classrooms. In general, enrollment in the public schools is actually down since pre-pandemic for a variety of reasons, including falling birth rate. So I think as a system, we can handle the arrivals, but we do need help. We need federal assistance because there are real costs associated. And the biggest challenge really is housing for these families. And there, we're really running out of space. And it's just imperative that the federal government help us address this.
On that note, we've just opened up another shelter at Randall's Island. I mean, we've been here before where we opened up a huge migration center, a tent migration center, and it didn't work. What's different this time?
Well, this is by far the biggest facility that we've opened. The tent facility on Randall's from last year was 500 beds. This is now 3,000 beds. And it's because the arrivals continue and the normal shelter system is full. We've really run out of options in hotels. And so we're having to take more and more difficult measures. And this one on Randall's, this is tough because it's built on some ball fields that now mean young people won't be able to play their games. So there's a real cost here. This is not something that anyone wanted to see. We've got to get federal help to manage this crisis. There are facilities in New York City that they could open at, for example, Floyd Bennett Field, at Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn. And still, those sites are not accepting migrants. We really need the federal government to step up and help.
Yeah, we want to switch gears a little bit and talk about affordable housing. I mean, we're talking about housing,
Yeah.
but that's a big problem already before even this happened. You were part of a big announcement last week, turning these empty offices into apartments. Where are we with that? And how close could we see something like this actually happen, turning offices into apartments?
We're in the midst of a housing affordability crisis, which I would argue is the worst in the history of New York City. We look at the rents in Manhattan every month. The average rent of an apartment in Manhattan for July was $5,500.
That's crazy.
This is out of range of almost not just low-income but middle-class families as well. We've got to create more housing. And the vacant office buildings are an opportunity. It's the older buildings, really, that are remaining vacant, and they could be converted to housing. Now, it's a little more complicated than I think people might realize, but I was really pleased to join the mayor and colleagues in the council and the assembly last week to announce some early measures to help make that happen. We actually did the press conference at 95 Madison.
Yeah.
That's going to be converted. So there's an example of what can be done if we make it easier, take away the bureaucratic challenges, et cetera.
How soon could that happen, though?
Not quick. It's complicated. Office buildings don't have the plumbing and other infrastructure that you would want for an apartment. And so it does take often several years, but we've got to start now because this is really an emergency.
Baby steps.
Indeed.
It's amazing with a city like New York, we run out of time with you. I'll tell you.
I'll have to come back.
Borough President Mark Levine, thank you so much for spending